test. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Test, test. Test, 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 test. Test, test, test. Test, 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 test.
that, but I want to see you and everybody.
It's not 100%.
They're not ready to go.
They are beautiful Glitterized is okay. Glitter.
And would you rather that or would you rather work? We did that. And then I'll get Steve lunch together. I'll let the handles for that. And then I'll
Last week you said something they did on Monday night.
Oh, believe me, if people tell me.
Well, the only way to get them
Okay, so you use that one? What's up, Nicole? How was your week? Good? Alright. Sing out.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Unity of Battery. Sing along with us this morning. We know there's one life, one love, one infinite presence. Sing out with us.
One life living as you and me, one life shining as you and me, one love loving as you and me, 'cause God is all there is. One life living as you and me, one life shining as you and me, one love loving as you and me, 'cause God is all there is. I'm shining from the inside out, I'm so happy, I just want to shout. One life living as you and me, one life shining as you and me, one love loving as you and me, 'cause God is all there is. One life living as you and me, one life shining as you and me, one love loving as you and me, 'cause God is all there is. I'm shining from the inside out, I'm so happy, I just want to shout. One life living as you and me, one life shining as you and me, one love loving as you and me, 'cause God is all there is. One life living as you and me, one life shining as you and me, one love loving as you and me, 'cause God is all there is. One life, one life, one love, 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 one life, one life, one love. Come on, shake it down.
God is all there is.
Right.
One life. Come on. Here we go.
Keep on shining from the inside out. I'm so happy. I just want to shout. One life living as you and me. One life shining as you and me. One love loving as you and me. God is all there is. One life living as you and me. One life shining as you and me. One love loving as you and me. Cause God is all there is. All right.
So take just a moment and say hello to your spiritual family, y'all, with some hugs and handshakes. We're here to celebrate. Good morning, everybody. All right, y'all. Let's get in that last hug. That last handshake. You sure glad to have you here today. Welcome to Unity of Metairie. Is anybody here for the very first time at all? Well, I like to say we're all family. So if you're watching us on Facebook today and you're watching us for the first time, here's a packet if you'd like to have this sent to you. Just give us your address in the comments. By the way, we welcome everybody that's watching us online this morning. Let's get a big woohoo! Hey everybody, we're jealous because I'm sure you're in your pajamas drinking some coffee. But we welcome everybody here. Unity is a magnificent philosophy. We're not a religion. We are a philosophy that teaches us to live our best life, realizing that within us, just as the song said, there is a magnificent presence, one life, one love within all of us. We honor all religions, all spiritual paths, all lifestyles. So wherever you are, God is. So let's just all just take a deep breath. Becoming centered here and now. So grateful to be here. I have full disclosure this morning. I am not feeling that well. I went to the urgent care yesterday, and Paul is going to be doing the talk today, but I wanted to be here with my spiritual family and get some healing energy, so I'll take as much as you can today, as much as you can give. There's no place I'd rather be than with you guys, but I have to say, I'm not turning cartwheels this morning, so just bear with me as we move along here. Go ahead and silence your cell phone or anything else that might make a noise as we move into our service. And we'd first of all like to bring up these wonderful kids. I see Nicole here. All right, any other kids here? Kristen? All right. We're going to give these kids a blessing. And as we give this blessing, we send it to children all over the world. May they recognize who they are as beloved expressions of life. They are here to teach us. They are here to show us the way, to help us to remember, to awaken. And remind everybody that we have a wonderful youth program that happens every Sunday at 10:30 as we have our service here. So let's give this blessing to these kids and send it to kids all over the world. Say with me today, Children of light,
we bless you. We see you loved, guided, and protected by God's presence.
And New Orleans style, we love you hard, hard, hard. We swear to God. All right, let's give them a hand, y'all. All right. Once again, begin to settle ourselves into this morning, knowing that we are exactly where we need to be in this holy instant. There is a perfection in how life unfolds, and so we trust in this perfection, knowing that we're always guided, always protected, always taken care of, safe. So once again, with gratitude, breathing deeply, becoming settled, feeling the love of our spiritual family here, feeling this healing energy, knowing that no matter what is happening in our lives this morning, that all is well, all is good. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should. So let's sit back, relax, ready to receive, ready to heal, ready to remember who we are as divine expressions of life as we listen to these thoughts from our daily word.
Today's daily word is prosperity. Sunday, October 14th, 2018. I am grateful for the many ways prosperity expresses in my life. My prospering thoughts find expression in my life in many ways. I enjoy an abundance of love, peace, health, and happiness, and I pause regularly each day to appreciate my many blessings. The same blessings express whenever I focus my creative thinking on my finances. No matter what my ego mind may insist, I know I have nothing to fear. I am one with divine mind, and fear has no place in my consciousness. I am guided quickly and easily to choices that will lead to financial prosperity in my life. In quiet moments of meditation throughout the day, I appreciate the ways in which my life is prospered now, and I call upon gratitude to gently dissolve any sense of lack I may perceive. Today's daily word is taken from 2 Corinthians 9:6. It reads, "The point is this, the one who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly. The one who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully."
So let's take in these words, allowing yourself to become still and quiet, knowing that right here, right now, you're exactly where you need to be. Right here, right now, we have come together in perfect order, brought here together by Spirit, knowing that this space and this time and this group of people will never happen exactly like this again. So this is a holy, special, and sacred moment. Begin to let go of all of our concerns and thoughts of the past and concerns about the future, just becoming centered here and now. For everything you need is right here, right now. There is a power within you that is greater than any circumstance in your life. There's a power within you that knows how to solve any problem. There's a power within you that knows how to heal any dis-ease. There is a power within you that can transform your experience. As you begin to awaken to the truth of who you are as a divine expression of life, created in the image and likeness of God. So bring all of your energy, your focus, your attention here to this beautiful, holy moment. Right here, right now, we have gone into the presence of God, and our hearts are open to the love that's found right here, right now. Right here, right now. And we recognize, as this Eddie Watkins song that we sang at the beginning of our service, that there is one life, one light, one power, one infinite presence. That presence is in each and every one of us, in all living things. And this morning we light our Christ candle, which is a symbol of this one light, this one power, this one love. Because in the end, there's only one of us in the room. We are all connected. We are all part of one magnificent presence. This presence we call life. This presence we call God. We can connect with this presence at any time that we choose. We do this by allowing our thoughts to become still and our bodies to relax. Allowing ourselves to become empty and open, ready to hear, ready to receive. So I would invite you to join along with me as we enter into a deeper time of prayer and meditation. As best you can, begin to let go of any thoughts, concerns, ideas. Bringing all of your attention and focus to this space and this time right here, right now. In this silence, you find your true self. In the silence, you find God. In the silence, you find healing and joy and happiness. Everything in your life begins with your inner life. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. So I invite you to allow your body to relax. Let go of any tension, stress. Feel your body become light. Begin to consciously watch your breathing as you breathe in and then breathe out, exhaling. Feel your shoulders gently drop as you feel the natural force of gravity. Feel yourself supported by the chair and by the love of those around you. Bringing all of your focus here and now. Right here, right now. Allowing yourself to become empty, quiet, silent. Continuing to watch your breath. Breathing in, breathing out. And just as your body has become still, take a moment and look at your thoughts. See what's there. Maybe some chatter, concern, thinking about what to do later, some event that happened this week. Realize that you have the power within you for your mind to become still and quiet. When your mind becomes still and quiet and empty and open, we hear that still small voice that is always reminding us all is well. You are safe. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should. to see yourself as God sees you. Whole. Perfect. Complete. Created in the image and likeness of God. Holy. For who you really are transcends your body and transcends this world and any conditions or circumstances of your life. For your true essential self, Spirit, is timeless, ageless, completely unaffected by anything that has ever happened in this world. In this moment, you are exactly as God created you. So we listen in the stillness and in the silence to this voice of life that is always there, waiting. Waiting for you to turn within and listen. Allow your mind to become empty, open, still, quiet. As we listen, listen to this voice of Spirit. Listening, waiting in the silence. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I am God. Be still. feel like it's still enough. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I am God. Be still. And we're thankful for this time together. In this place of silence, we give gratitude. May our hearts be open, may our ears be open, ready to receive. And so it is. Thank you, God.
Good morning. Good morning. Well, before I begin, just want to, I know I think I'm just know other people were during the meditation sending Jack some thoughts and prayers and healing. I just want to add to that for the next couple of days, just every once in a while, take a few moments, bring Jack to mind, and just send him some healing prayers, healing energy, healing thoughts. We believe in multiple paths. We got to use all those terms to say the same thing. Just think about Jack getting better and feeling great and all that stuff. And now, kind of as a second introduction, when I come up here a lot of times, I talk about trusting in spirit, how things fall into place. A lot of times it's just Jack setting me up the week before. Well, this one, it really hit me. And I thought back when Brenda and I, shortly after Jack was appointed, accepted, voted in as spiritual director of Unity of Metairie, Brenda and I came along and asked if we could help out and teach, and very excitedly he said yes. He says, in fact, he said, I just trust. It's the first time I heard him say that Unity of Metairie is a bus that Spirit is driving. Because I jokingly sometimes say that bus is going down the side of a mountain and we're all at the windows going, hi, where are we going? But we trust. And the way it came about today was, a couple of weeks ago, I gave a talk on what I call the movement of silence. But that wasn't the talk that I had planned to give then. It kind of hit me watching what was going on TV at the time, the Friday before that Sunday. Well, I had already prepared a talk for that Sunday before this other one kind of scooted in. So when Jack texted me yesterday saying that he was really feeling bad and didn't think he'd give the talk today, could I come up with something? It hit me again is, why do we keep doubting, trusting in spirit? The talk was already there. I just had to kind of hone in a few things. So I just wanted to start with that saying, trust. As we're here, and especially when I'm going to talk about today, which is about something that I've been struggling with for years, is finding and defining my own spiritual path. I discovered that years ago when I was still a Roman Catholic priest. People would come to me and want to know, especially some who were not Catholic or some who were doubting the Catholic Church, about what religion should they be in. And I guess if I had remained totally obedient to Rome, which obviously, I haven't, or I wouldn't be standing here today, I would have given the party line of the Roman Catholic Church. But I didn't. I said, why don't we set up some times where you come and we'll discuss, help you figure out what is the best religion for you. Now, of course, this also got me in trouble because some people got upset and would write the bishop saying, Paul's not saying the Catholic Church is the one true church and everything else is wrong. But with that, I realized I had to define my own path. That I'm just not going to accept the party line. And when Brenda and I first came here quite a few years ago, we heard that. That Unity is a place that's not a religion, it's not a defined path, but people who follow their own paths come here. And as I hear Jack say a lot of times, people come here and go, yes, I get to define my own path. And then reality hits in. Oh my God, I got to find my own path. I want to start with a song that for me summed up that first feeling of, yes, I get to define my own path. It's a song by, Daniel Nahman called Get Ready, My Soul.
Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done, everything I've ever seen, everything I've lost or won, everything I've ever dreamed has brought me here to the present moment, here to a new beginning, here, and I'm seeing life so clearly now. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. 'Cause here I go, deeper, deeper my soul. I'm diving in, get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Get ready, my soul.
And I love that phrase, diving right in, as if the higher self is saying, get ready, my soul. When I first was starting to do this myself, the image that came to me, if those who are familiar with the tarot deck, the Fool, which is basically this guy stepping off a cliff. And it's interesting because in spirituality, they use a term called the leap of faith. And that's what this is. Simply diving in to wherever this may lead. And that leads to the question, well, where do I go from here? I use that phrase because this talk is actually based on a class that Brent and I put together quite a few years ago, and was actually the first thing we taught here when we first came about this. So we're at the point where we know we want to find our own path. We're ready to leap into whatever deep, dark mystery or secrets that are there. And we go, wow. Well, first of all, I want to define spiritual path. It's simple. It's whatever practices, beliefs, or whatever you do, I'll go into more detail, to help you continue your spiritual journey. Now, for some people, that may be a religion. Some people may find that fulfillment in a defined religion. And that's great. Whatever that religion is, if somebody finds that peace, that love, that closeness to God in whatever religion they choose, I'm very happy for them. And the last thing I'm going to do is tell them they're wrong. But for a lot of us, religion just didn't hold enough. And I believe one of those reasons is what is defined by Deepak Chopra when he said, religion is somebody else's experience, where spirituality is your own experience. And that's where I believe following your path needs to begin. What is your own experience? And for me, that first step is, how do you see the divine? How do you see God? How do you see spirit? How do you see, you go on and on and on with different words that define this reality? Not what you're supposed to believe, not what people told you God is supposed to be, but what is your experience of God, the divine, the source, the one power? I mean, as Hindus said, one God, millions of manifestations. And I'm not going to stand here mentioning a million names, but they're all there. Trust yourself. To me, that's the first step. What is your experience, your image, your vision of the divine? And just trust in that. Your higher self is not going to steer you wrong. It's doubting your higher self that begins to steer us off in different directions. Trust that. And then to realize that there isn't just one path. We all could be on totally separate paths and still be united in the fact that we're trying to get to the one source, the one truth. Traditional Hinduism has always accepted this fact. A traditional Hindu is not going to ask you what religion you are. Their question is, and what path do you follow? There's an ancient Hindu image of a mountain with a light at the top, and it shows many different paths going up that mountain to that light, which is their way of saying there isn't just one way. And yeah, I grew up in the 60s and 70s where the Christian church had a little revival and you had the expression one way. But there isn't one way. There's a multitude of ways. And that's what finding your own spiritual path is about, is what is the way for you. And that should stem from your personal experience or sense of the divine. I'm sorry, nobody can give that to you. If they do, it's their experience. What is your own personal experience? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't trust that. But I'm saying, trust it. Even if it feels uncomfortable at first, even if it flies in the face of everything you were taught growing up. I think the 12-step program has had this in place longer than anybody. When they talk about a higher power, they don't define that higher power. They said that a higher power is anything that you see as the higher power, and how you see it, and how you feel about it. They've been doing that for years, and we can learn from that. So there is more than one way to get there. There is more than one image of the divine. And in the images we can come up with, I don't believe there's any image that will contain the entirety of the divine. If an image we can come up with contains the entire truth of the divine, then the divine isn't that big. Our minds are very limited. So whatever aspect you feel and experience, go with that. Trust that. But at the same time, don't forget the past. Your spiritual path doesn't begin now. It began when you were born. And whatever you went through, whatever religion you were part of, whatever belief system you had or didn't have, that is just as much a part of your path as what you do from this point on. So one of the first steps I talk to people about is there anything in your past, within your spiritual life, tradition, that meant something to you, that you found comfort with? For example, many Catholics said the rosary. And they found a lot of comfort in that repetitive prayer, which is a very important form of prayer, which is also a form of meditation, which is what Transcendental Meditation is based on. Those mantras are like a repetitive prayer, except sometimes people use the beads as a physical way to do that. So take that tradition, but use a prayer that means more to you today. Keep that same practice going, but adjust it to whatever you're doing today. So it might be your mantra. It might be a phrase. It might be the name of a deity that expresses your own personal sense of the divine. It's why we do the Bible study every month. Because just because I'm not a Catholic and struggle sometimes saying I'm even a Christian, seeing what is being done in the name of Christianity so often, I'm not going to let go of the Bible. It means too much to me. But I reinterpret it and look at it differently based on what I'm doing now. Don't do what I call, in the old expression, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just because you leave a certain tradition doesn't mean you have to leave everything behind. If things meant something to you, adapt it, adjust it, and use it to help you along your own spiritual path. And it may become one of the important spiritual practices for you along that path. And then, this is for me where the work really comes. Look at where you are now. Look at what is important to you now. Look at what things you do that have meaning to you, that really help you express yourself. For example, what is the culture you most identify with? Be that Irish, Italian, French, Hispanic, African, Asian, whatever it is. Use that culture. Research that culture. Look at the myths within that culture. Listen to the music within that culture. And see where it leads you. That's one thing that happened to me. Years ago, this is before, again, this is what led me away eventually. I really tried to get back in touch with my Irish roots. My mother's maiden name is O'Donnell, one of the 12 original clans. And what's really strange is many people think I'm more of Spanish descent because my last name is Martinez and my color, that olive complexion. But no, my dad's family was from northern Spain. My dad had blonde hair when he was growing up. My complexion comes from my mother. It's what's known as Black Irish. When the Spanish Armada sunk, many of the sailors were Moors from northern Africa, and they ended up in Ireland. So cultures get very mixed, and we just have to accept ourselves for who we are, because if it wasn't for that mixture, we wouldn't be here. But I wanted to get more in touch with that Irish. So I started off, as people have heard, of going to Irish pubs, drinking Guinness Stout, listening to Irish folk music. And a friend of mine once said, "Have you ever heard of the Chieftains?" And I said, "I've heard of them." He said, "Get one of their albums." So I bought one. And when I put that first song on, it literally touched my soul. I said, there's something here. And I began to read Celtic myths, listening to Celtic music from the very traditional to the very contemporary. I mean, it's amazing what bagpipes and electric guitars sound together. A couple of groups do that. And that was the first time where I began to see different traditions mixing together to begin to bring an idea of what path I'm going to follow. And opening me up to looking at these different things. If gardening is your thing, use it. See it as part of your spiritual path, the digging in the earth. This is a very Native American concept of spirituality. It's interesting because when I was in some classes studying Native American belief, people said how the Native Americans were so typical patriarchal society. The men got to go off hunting and they left the women at home to dig in the dirt. Well, the reason for that is only the females had the right to dig within Mother Earth. That was the reason. Where the men went out hunting, because that's more what the gods do. So that sense of when you're digging in the dirt, of feeling that sense of creation, of the divine, use whatever it is that's important to you and incorporate that into your spiritual path. That's one of the things that makes it your own personal experience. Because you're doing what you love, but yet you're seeing that spiritual sense within it. And then use all the things that are out there. Use meditation, prayer. Get a spiritual director. That's a simple concept, that all a spiritual director is somebody you know. It doesn't have to be somebody who believes everything you believe. In fact, a good spiritual director is not going to try to convince you you're wrong and they're right. If that happens, find another spiritual director. But a spiritual director is someone who can listen, you can bounce ideas off, and they help you shape your own sense. Many people have found that within the counselors they have, or social workers they have. There's many, many more counselors and social workers dealing with spiritual issues along with all the other issues that people may have. It could be just a good friend where two of you get together once a week over coffee and talk about your spiritual ideas. That's just as much a spiritual direction as anything else. Look at the scriptures, and when I say scripture, sacred text, it's a myriad of things. It could be the Bible, could be the Quran, could be the Vedas, the teachings of Buddha, and yes, I'll even say the teachings of people like Wayne Dyer and Joe Dispenza. Just because they're modern don't mean they're not important or they're not as spiritual as the ancient text. Because many of the people writing today, like Wayne Dyer when he was alive and Joe Dispenza, are basing their work on the ancient text. They see it as a continuous flow. Read the myths. Read the fairy tales. All these things contain spiritual elements that may speak to you. Now, what I love, though, they may not speak to you what is traditionally believed. It might be something out of left field. But again, trust your higher self. Use those things that are available to us. That's why I said that's where the work begins. And you may have to try some different things and say, well, that doesn't speak to me, that doesn't speak to me. There might be something out there you're not aware of yet, that one of these other things may lead you to, that you go, that's it. This is speaking to me. This is expressing what I believe in. And again, this is very personal work. There are a number of books out there that talk about spiritual paths. But all the good ones say the same thing. We can't tell you. Can't tell you what your spiritual path is. Because it's got to be personal. And that's one of the reasons I like Unity, when we say it is not a religion. We're not going to tell you what path you should follow. If you're looking for that answer, I hate to tell you, you're not going to find it here. If somebody asked me, just like I did in the past, what path should I follow? I said, I don't know. Let's talk about it and you figure it out. I'll help you figure it out. I might be able to guide you to some writings or things based on what you're telling me, because it's simple. I'm not going to take responsibility for anybody's spiritual path but my own. I will not take on that responsibility. That's your own responsibility. And it is a tough thing to say, but it's just so much more rewarding to me when someone can come to their own sense of the divine and what is important to them. just to be very, very important. Now, there's one caveat here before I close that can happen many times is as we develop our own spiritual path and follow that more and more, friends and family may start to notice a difference and may not like that difference. There's an old concept in counseling and applied spirituality. It's called the thermostat theory. When people go into counseling, a lot of times they change. Again, we see this a lot in the 12-step movement. When people begin to be sober and all of that, sometimes their family and friends don't know how to deal with them because they're not the same anymore. So it's like a thermostat. A thermostat is set at a certain temperature. If that temperature gets higher or lower, it kicks on to bring the temperature back to that norm. So as people change, their family and friends may be that thermostat, and they're going to try to get you back to the norm that they're used to. I give that as a warning. In fact, any good ethical counselor will give that as a warning. So be one of the things to keep in the back of your mind. And be ready for that. Because there may be family and friends out there who say, what are you doing? You're wrong. How can you not believe that anymore? You're wrong. And you may not have an answer for them right away, but you may be able to say, I can accept the fact we disagree, but this is what I believe, and if you can't respect that, that's your problem, not mine. So once you get to this sense of what you believe in, the practices you want to follow, even if that's a religion or a group of ideas that come together, trust in that. As long, and I've always held this, I'm trying to track it down actually, but every other thing I've read says they attribute this to Muhammad, but I haven't been able to find the exact quote yet, and I'm still working on it. But it's attributed to Muhammad that he said, basically, it doesn't matter what religion you are in or what you follow, as long as it's well-formed. And the definition of well-formed is a belief in the divine and a life of love and compassion. That's the only norm I hold to judge a spiritual path. If whatever you are following brings you into a more closer, intimate relationship with the divine, and what you're working on and studying and meditating about leads you to living a life more of love and compassion, that's the gold standard. If what you're doing does those two things in your life, then you have found your spiritual path, no matter what that is. But it's a lot of work. You have to put the work in. You have to pray. You have to meditate. You got to read. You got to study. The internet makes it a lot easier. Because nobody can give that to you. Friends can give you suggestions. Have you read this? Or as my friend said a long time ago, have you ever listened to the chieftains? You never know where that spark of spirit's going to hit. But trust it. And trust in yourself. I'm going to end with a song of blessing that, for me, addresses this too.
Thank you for the blessing child. Thank you for the laughter and a joyful heart, clarity and vision. I'm always on my path. I'm always on my path.
Amen. Blessed be. Namaste.
Thank you, Paul. I love that. Who was that on that last song that you played? Who was the artist?
Lindy Layla,
Lindy Layla. I love that.
South African witch.
I love it. I love it even better. Hey, any path. Once again, I appreciate him stepping up at the last minute. And so this morning we come to the part of our service where we give to our beautiful spiritual family to support our vision of co-creating a world that works for everyone. We believe we give where we are spiritually fed. We're grateful to everyone that gives of their time, of their talent, of their offering, everything that makes this spiritual center work. And this morning, as an act of giving, we bring our offering forward and drop it in the baskets here in front, and you can take an affirmation with you out of the basket on the other side. Giving with a grateful heart, knowing that as we give, it comes back to us, that there is a flow of abundance, of creativity, of love in the world, and as we give, it returns to us. If you prefer to give electronically with a credit card, Bill is waiting in the Welcome Center where you came in, and he can take that from you there. So let's this morning realize how blessed we are, how loved we are, as we give with an open and grateful heart, realizing that we are so, so blessed. And we say, thank you, God, for this opportunity to give, to love, and to share. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. And we are so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so grateful for all that we have. We are so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so grateful. We are so. Once more, I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. And thank you to everyone that gives, to our spiritual family. For the 40 years that we've been here is a place, a life that we can express ourselves and to learn our own individual spiritual paths. We're so grateful for Unity of Metairie. And thank you everybody for joining us today and for Paul for speaking. I have to say that I'm starting to feel better, so thank you. Last week we had, there was so much energy here. We had what we called our grand reopening, and we had our waffle breakfast, and thank you Sue and Sam for working so hard. I was really touched last week in a way that I haven't felt in a long time, because you guys just, I joked as we were coming up to that saying it was my birthday. If you weren't here, it just happened to be my birthday, and I was saying I would be accepting presents from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and just kind of joke. And I've done that since I was a kid. But, you guys, not only people that brought presents, but just the love and support and the cards and the cakes. I ended up with 7 cakes last week for my birthday. I think it was a record. I ended up slicing most of them and taking them to the homeless people out in the square, and especially for the cat cake that Sophia made. That was so beautiful. I just wanted to tell you guys that you really, really touched my heart last week, just with the energy and the love that you brought into this space. And it was an amazing time. I felt just magnificent. The whole day, it just felt great. So thank you, everybody that made last week such a special and wonderful time. Of course, it was the beginning of it, starting at 10:30, so help spread the word, that everyone to know that after 40 years of starting at 11, we are now starting at 10:30. And welcome everybody on Facebook once again. We're so glad that you joined us today. We hope that the service has been inspiring to you as well. And the most frustrating thing about not feeling good is when I'm around you guys, I get excited. There's so many things going on here that are great as we revolutionize the service and we're getting more people involved. And I just want to jump up and do a cartwheel. And, when you can't do it, it's just like, that's the most frustrating thing about this. And I'm so grateful that everything's temporary. If you don't feel good at any given time, it's all temporary. It's so wonderful to know that within us there is this presence that keeps us moving and flowing and unfolding. So I just want to say that because I love and appreciate you guys so much. And just a few announcements before we head out into the day. Once again, if you are watching this for the first time on Facebook, or anyone that's come in, if you're here for the first time, you're welcome to take this packet with you that tells all about Unity. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us at any time. You can take this with you. There is a little sheet on the back that you can fill out and let us know what you thought about the service. And you can drop that off with Bill, who's out in the Welcome Center, our administrator. If you feel inspired to, let us know. Make sure and everybody get onto our list. Make sure you get our newsletter. There's not been a newsletter go out for the last couple of weeks, so if you haven't gotten one, just hold still, but make sure you get on that list. But we welcome everybody here. If you're here for the first time or you've been here all 40 years. Paul and Brenda have a wonderful class on Tuesday nights. This is our spiritual education night. What's going on, Paul?
Bible study.
Bible study. Bible study is awesome. If you're like me, I came up from a traditional religion, and I was really afraid to take a look at the Bible as I moved away from it. And now it's great to look at it through different eyes. This is a metaphysical Bible study where we take some scripture and reinterpret it a little bit differently as we look at it through different ideas and eyes. And as Paul says, things change as we grow. Sometimes I read a book and then I'll read it 10 years later and it seems different. And it's because I've changed. And so that's why this Bible study is so important. That's Tuesday at 7 p.m. Come and join Paul and Brenda. Wednesday night, we always have meditation at 6 p.m., an hour of coming together in stillness with some guided words and some music, moving into the silence. And right after that, at 7, I facilitate a discussion on the book of Course in Miracles. There's no experience necessary for either one of these groups. Everyone is welcome to join. Also, Catherine has she's not here with us today, but Catherine facilitates a group on Monday night at 5:30. If you're interested in all things Eastern philosophy, Eastern movement, yoga, Ayurveda, Catherine facilitates this on Monday night. Just another way to look, another path to look at, as Paul talked about today. If you're interested in anything Eastern, join her tomorrow evening at 5:30. We still continue to give to Second Harvest Food Bank. We continue to, what is this month? Oatmeal and cereal. For October, continue to bring oatmeal and cereal and drop it in the back, and we will make sure it gets to those that are hungry. I know we get notices that because of the hurricane that just happened this past week, that they are in desperate need for food as we send that out even beyond this area. We have our daily words available that you heard us read from earlier in the service. They're $5. It's 2 whole months of daily inspiration. You can pick those up in the bookstore. Don't forget, October 28th is our fall festival. It's a fun time. You get to wear your Halloween costume to church. Now, what church do you go to? You get to wear your Halloween costume to church. Yes, Nicole. Good answer. What did you come as last year, Nicole? Do you remember?
I think I was
I think you were a cat.
Yeah, I was.
I remember that. So that's the last Sunday in October. It's just a fun time where we come together. We're going to have a big pizza lunch together and play some games, and we're going to have a costume contest and dance around and do all things Halloween. I love Halloween. It's one of my favorite things. So where are we going to lunch bunch today?
We're going at Semolina's behind Target.
Semolina's behind Target. Okay, behind Target. This is a great way to get to know your spiritual family a little bit deeper, to have lunch together. This is Semolina. It's right over there on the other side of the shopping center where Target is. It's great to have all kind of pasta and a few Italian things, but let me see, am I missing anything? I think that is it. So thank you everybody that joined us today. Continue to send prayers. I'm going to go and get some more rest today, and hopefully by tomorrow I'll be doing cartwheels. We're going to sing out today, joining on the love train together. So if everybody would stand and join me as we send this love out to the world, knowing that we can get on this love train. Sing along with us, y'all.
People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. The next stop that we make will be England. Tell all the folks in Russia and China too. Don't you know that it's time to get on board and let this train keep on riding, riding on through? Come on, people all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. With all of your brothers over in Africa, tell all the folks in Egypt and Israel too. Please don't miss this train at the station, 'cause if you miss it, I feel sorry, sorry for you. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. Let it ride, let it ride, let it ride, let it ride. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, all over the world, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love
One more time, y'all.
People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world.
So before we head out in the day, we're going to say our prayer of protection. And before we do that, I wanted to tell everyone also on Facebook, thank you for joining us. And if you would like to support us as well, there's a link right below where you're watching this post. You can give there securely and easily with a credit card. And we appreciate all the support that comes in from people that are watching for us today. And I'm Reverend Jack Fowler. I'm so glad to be here. We hope to see you again during the week or next week. So let's say this together. The light of God surrounds us.
The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Feel joy, I feel peace, I feel your goodness surrounding me, I feel love in every breath I breathe. Yeah, you guys do it.